Okay. Hello, I'm August Conley. This is my dear friend Jacob Ramirez, and he's going to help me out with this discussion on behaviorism and my big problem. So, first, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about behaviorism and its concepts. So,
Okay.
behaviorism is a theory of learning that states all behaviors are acquired through conditioning, and conditioning occurs through interaction with the environment. So our actions are shaped by our environment, essentially, is what the series states.
Mhm.
So my big problem is going to be the suicide rates, specifically among LGBTQIA youth. So to tackle this big problem, I have an idea.
Real
Yeah, what's
quick,
up?
sorry. Why just the uh the queer community like specifically like not why not just like uh youth suicide rates as a whole? Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. Great question. So queer kids and trans kids are actually 4 times as likely to commit suicide than their um like cis and straight counterparts. So um that yeah, I kind of want to put my focus there. Mhm.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So to tackle this big problem, I have um an idea. And my project idea is a website. It would be an online space that acts as a network for educators to support their queer students.
Okay.
Um, mhm. Lost my place. Give me 1 second. So my website would consist of statistics, real life stories, a discussion forum, as well as resources for LGBTQIA students. And
Nice.
the idea is that to affect change um, at Bronfenbrenner's microsystem, because it's proven that
What is sorry the Bronbeners system? Sorry.
no, you're good. That's perfect. That's a great question. So, Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory views child development as happening at different spheres around them, and it's how their environment affects them at each sphere. So, their family and their teachers and their peers, people they see on a day-to-day basis, would be that would be their microsystem, which is that's where we're specifically trying to affect change. Uh,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, and because we're doing this because it's proven that queer children who feel supported by their teachers have lower odds of attempting suicide. So I want this website to equip teachers to sorry, let me word this, to equip teachers to put LGBTQIA positivity in their classrooms. Um, this is difficult in states where the divisive concept bill is in place. Um, but the idea is
What's
that
the sorry? What's the divisive system thing you
okay,
just said?
the divisive concept bill is in certain states, there are concepts that have been deemed divisive. So this
Okay.
includes stuff like critical race theory and sexuality,
Gotcha.
gender, good stuff like that. So
Yeah, yes.
yeah, in states where this bill has been passed, teachers aren't able to talk about any of these things in the classroom. There was a teacher in Georgia who got fired for reading a book on a non-binary kid. So
Oh,
right. So in
makes
states
sense.
where this bill has been passed, I feel like the website is a way for teachers to quietly and subtly gather materials, such as Trevor Chat, which is an online space where young queer people can talk to other young queer people for support if they don't have that in their lives.
Mhm.
I would offer lists of local organizations because I want it to be specific for states. I want them to be able to pool their state and say, oh, here are the organizations available around me. And specifically, very importantly, emergency hotlines like suicide hotlines
Right.
specifically for queer
Yeah.
kids. Um,
Okay.
and I think it should be paired with a small token like a note or a flag, some small, individualized, meaningful token from the teacher to be paired with these other materials.
Gotcha. A question real quick back to like divisive thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, so for your website, how are you like planning to like use your website how are you planning to like work your network into like a state that already has a divisive concept in
Yeah.
place? Like how
To
do
like
you
kind of
plan?
get around it. Mhm.
Yeah, because there was a time back in high school when we had a LGBTQ community after school program or club, sorry, I can't talk.
Mhm.
It's called the Prism Alliance, and they were all for making LGBTQ problems and awareness big, and that's what it was about, which is accepting and trying to make issues seen.
Mhm.
And so they promoted it on the school announcement so that the club can get going. And the next day, um, one of the teachers had said that um, the commercial had made them feel uncomfortable, and so it was taken away from the school announcements
Mhm.
and wasn't shown again after that. So kind of like censored in a way.
Right. So how to get around? Okay. So I think that's one great thing about the website is it can be done quietly. Um, like I want the materials to be available to give to an individual kid. Like while I
Okay.
also want materials available to encourage teachers to speak loudly and proudly about it, I understand that that's just not how it works in some places. So the idea is that you'd be able to quietly and subtly individually give these materials to students. You don't have to like shout about it because you can't. So it would just be resources to be able to have one-on-one connections with like queer kids that you might see, might think, have a hunch that are struggling. So to support students individually like that. And then honestly, I do recognize the fact that this is encouraging teachers to kind of break the law a little bit in places that this the bill has been passed, but there's not really ever been a social movement that it didn't break the law a little bit. So I
Right. Right.
we're breaking the law for a good cause.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how the concepts of behaviorism apply specifically to my problem.
Mhm.
So one concept of behaviorism is operant conditioning, and this entails learning through reinforcement and punishment. So through this concept, an association is made by the learner between a behavior and a consequence for that behavior. So when a positive behavior occurs, it's reinforced positively. And when a negative behavior occurs, it will be met with negative consequences. So the goal is to build a support system, a platform that helps educators create a space of encouragement in relation to celebrating and accepting queerness.
Gotcha. Real quick, just to go back to like you said like the positive like reinforcement, negative reinforcement. So like, what would you consider like the reinforcement, positively, negative? Like, what's like, I guess an example. Like, what's an example you can
Of
give me of
okay,
like
so
the
like
reinforcement?
yeah, positive reinforcement would be um just like whenever students are um responding in an acceptable and appropriate and kind and positive way to queer students, queer culture, queer people, queer subjects.
Mhm.
Just kind of reinforcing that, normalizing it, meeting it with like a okay, right on, good job there. And
Okay.
so like adversely, um, with negative behavior, it would be like um making sure there's a no tolerance policy in the classroom. So anytime bullying occurs for like towards queer kids, cutting it off right there, punishing it.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah. And then like any type of slurs, stuff like that. Any negative speak about the queer community, cutting it off right there, punishing it.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, you can continue.
No, you're perfect. So the goal is to create a support system platform that helps educators create a space of encouragement in relation to celebrating and accepting queerness. So another aspect of this platform would be an area of discourse, um, where they can talk to one another, resources and other things like that to help educators confront negative feelings and behaviors towards queer youth. So
Real quick. For the accepting queerness like in the class you said like what what would that look like? Like what do you see that look like?
Yeah, like
Like
accepting and celebrating it. So
yeah, yeah,
um I think getting rid of the fear that surrounds it. Um it just respond like reinforcing it with positivity again. Just
right.
or like even in places where like the divisive concepts bill is in place, like
Mhm.
quietly giving students queer media that has queer representation. So books, music, sharing television shows, stuff like that. Like I think queer representation helps so much with children to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel like they have a voice and that they can hear other queer voices. So even if you can't do it loudly, quietly sharing the resources as well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I hear you. Gotcha. Continue. Sorry.
No, you're perfect. So this is the Q&A portion, I suppose, if
Okay,
you have anything to add, if you have ideas on the project, stuff like that.
gotcha. Um, so you said you had this is gonna be a website, right? So do you like plan to like expand it like past the website, like
Can
even
you
like
hold that thought because we have less than a minute left available on this Zoom? So I'm going to pause it and we're going to start another one. And we will
okay,
submit two.
okay.